Hello. I have to warn you, my voice is a little up and down, but I really wanted to come on today and deliver this message. So here I am, and hopefully you can hear me, and I'm going to give it my all with my voice. My name is Donnell, and if you're new to me, I am an oracle and multidimensional healer, a mentor, and I really specialize in helping my clients become their thriving future selves now when it comes to love and money and all this fun stuff. And I've been online a lot lately, and I was thinking about it. I'm like, for somebody that's kind of new to this, why would you want to become your future self? Like, why is that even important? And there's so much, especially in spirituality, where it's like the now is all that matters. The past doesn't exist. The future doesn't exist. It's just this moment. And yes. And I think if you start to really see it as you are this multi-dimensional being, you are this energetic being. And just for instance, I know you could think about a past event that's happened to you, and you could literally go back and talk about it with a friend or review the story. And then before you know it, you're feeling the same energy of what's already happened. That's the past, right? And that's how powerful it is. And what's really interesting is you can do the same with the future. You can create your future through choreographing it and thinking about it and visualizing it and feeling into it. But what I want to talk to you, about why is that important? It's important to think about who you want to become, because there should be another expanded, elevated version of you. Although I want you to appreciate your life for what it is. I want you to have massive gratitude for all the things that are going right in your life today, in this moment. I know that as somebody who teaches and lives this lifestyle of futuring, one of my biggest practices is always to be so grateful for what's happening in my life currently. But I also am somebody who wants to grow, who has an idea of the next thing that I want to be, achieve, have. And it's not always, sometimes it's in the material world, but a lot of time it's really I want to experience the deepest and most expansive levels of fulfillment and meaning in my life. And if I were to stop today, it doesn't mean that I haven't experienced a lot of that already, but, I have, kids, and I want to see, part of the reason why I do my work is I want to create a legacy for my children. And as I grow and create more meaning in my life and serve, those resources go to my children and what I'm able to expand and give to them. So I think there's always this thought when you think about futuring and who you get to become and manifesting and all this kind of stuff. If you can have a relationship with yourself where you're not in lack and scarcity of seeing it as something's wrong with me and I need to be better because I'm trying to fulfill this part of myself that isn't working, that keeps you kind of actually in separate. Hey, Jennifer, thank you. It's so good to see you. Long time no seeing you, but it's great to connect with you. But that keeps you in separation within yourself. So when I mentor women and I teach them, and I'm really excited because I'm going to share in just a little bit. Next week, I'm going to be hosting a 4-day free event where I'm going to help you meet your future self and discover the biggest block you have to really connecting and becoming her. So I'll be dropping the details for that. And if you're listening to this and you're like, I want to know, just put, just write in the comments and I'll send you the link. But back to what I was saying is, if you want to become, if you think that getting the money or the next relationship or whatever it is going to solve you, then we have more work to do, right? Then we really get to look at it where are those places in me that don't feel full and whole? But if you're like, I want to have more in my life because I love who I am and I want to expand that. And I want to be able to have different things and grow, then I think it gets to be so fun, right? It gets to be really exciting. So that's one of the first things, is just noticing like the set point of where you're coming from for the things that you want to have in your life. Are you coming from a place of thinking that's gonna, if you have these things, it'll solve some problem for you or make you feel something that you don't feel right now? Because that's actually thinking that you're giving something outside of yourself power and authority over your own ability to feel good about yourself. So that's not the place that we want to come from. And of course, in my mentorship, I help women even with that, because that's sometimes that's where people are at. It's just, it's real, and that's where they're at. But when you can start to think of the future as this incredible blank canvas that contains a multitude of infinite potentials and possibilities, that's when things get really freaking exciting. That's when you realize that the life that you're living today can look radically different a year from now. And in a world that, for some, depending on how tuned in you are or not, can be a little heavy and a little weird right now. There's like a lot of weird stuff happening, you know, when you see bank systems collapsing, or you see, just a lot of interesting stuff. I don't watch the news. I don't fill my brain with that, but I still hear things and I still see. And it would be really easy to create your future based on what's happening outside of you. And because there's so much influence, right? But what I teach women is that you are the master and co-creator of your destiny and where you want to go. And you have to be really mindful and masterful over what you let in. And that even includes not just the news, but it includes the people, the environment, the circumstances. Because to be creating your reality with the divine, you have to be really aware, right? You have to manage yourself, not just live on autopilot. And so many people, they get up every single morning, they put their, like, let's say their little robe on, and they go get their coffee, and they do all the same thing every morning, like clockwork, almost like a robot. And then they go live their life, and they're wondering why they just keep creating the same thing year after year, over and over again. We're not meant to just, yeah, I love routines. They're very supportive. Like, I have a meditation routine. I work out. But I make sure that, like, I do things different. I drive different directions to the same places. I do all these little things because I want my life. First of all, it's, about your neural pathways. It's about, how you're programming your life. But it's important to have diversity and to not be robotic in your life and on autopilot, because then you just start to create the same things over and over again. So if you want a pattern disrupt, it's about being present. So your future self, why it's so important, is because in this moment of who we are, we get to create based on that. Like, what a powerful thing to realize about ourselves, right? That our thoughts, our beliefs, our feelings are the coordinates for the future. So who you are today is going to determine exactly where you're going. And for some of you, that's going to be like, hell yeah, I'm on my path. I feel so excited. Things are so good. And for others of you, you might be like, oh shoot, I got to course correct. Which is why I'm hosting my event next week, my 4-day free event, the Future Self-Activation. If you want the details, just put it in the comments. But in this present moment, you're given this chance with your awareness to determine who you want to become. So you got to get to know your future self. it can't just be this like woo-woo concept out there, you know, like, oh yeah, this like future self, you know, what is that? Well, it's the idea of who you want to be. I've had, and your future self evolves and changes as you grow. And your future self is always leaving you hints and clues in the present moment to become her. I've had many iterations of my life. And in these iterations of my life, like there was one iteration of my life where I wanted to be, of course, who I am now. Like I look back, and if I could have gone back to my past self and said to her when I was in corporate America and sales and kind of like not loving it, but, you know, being good at it, but just not feeling like that was my thing. And I was just doing psychic readings on the side. I wish somebody, you know, somebody would have come to me and said, and interviewed me and said, your future self, you know, 10 years from now is going to be running her own, you know, multi-six-figure business as a coach and mentor. She's going to be in her dream relationship and have these kids and all these things. I'd be like, really? Tell me more. You know, like, wow. But I believe, I know when I first like took the leap from corporate America and went into doing my business and doing readings, intuitive healings and all that stuff, and then went into coaching, you know, morphed it into coaching, I'd be lying to you if I said there wasn't times I wanted to give up, that I was like, how am I ever going to make the same money I made in corporate America? How am I ever going to be as successful or find my clients or do all these things, right? I had all these stories. And there was always this quiet, subtle voice that would say, don't give up. Like, keep doing this. Like, keep showing up. Because I saw her. I could feel her. I was like, someday I'm going to make a difference with my work. And I'm going to serve thousands of women and do thousands of readings, let's just say. And I have. When I was in my former relationship with my, you know, girl's father, bless his heart, but I wasn't happy. It wasn't the right relationship. It wasn't where I was going to spend the rest of my life. And I was like, you know, more than anything, I want a divine union partnership. And I'll tell you what, when I left that relationship, I was terrified. But my future self left me a song. I kept waking up every morning and hearing a song in my head. And she was giving me this message from the future. It was, I can't remember. I'll think of the song in a second, but I couldn't, I think it was like what are the Wilson sisters or whatever that group is called? It was like three women that sing together. Oh my God, I'll have to think of that song. But it was this, once I Googled it and I looked it up what it meant, and it basically was like a song, you know, saying, if you get out of this, you're going to find your way and you're going to be happy. And I remember all these initiations and all these times, like I had such a clear vision of my future self. Like I was like, she's in a loving, passionate, incredibly rich relationship with somebody that like we, you know, a spiritual connection. That's what, you know, divine union, if you've never heard that term. But when I was leaving and I was like going into being a single mom and questioning like, oh my God, I'm in my 40s. Like, what am I doing? Like, how am I ever going to meet anybody? Like, what's going to happen to me? You know, all these stories, right? It was my future self that I like could see, visualize, feel, know existed. She was all my potential, all my possibilities that I could see for the life that I wanted, that I got to embody in the now moment. That's the key, you guys. It's not about this fantastical, like, oh, someday off in the future, I'm going to have this relationship and all these things. I was like, as soon as I got single, as a single mom, I was like, what do I need to do right now to become her? And boy, oh boy, there was some stuff I had to do. I had to practice some forgiveness. I got a relationship coach. I worked with mentors on different parts of myself and reclaiming who I was and becoming the vibrational match of what I wanted to have in a relationship. So I wasn't passively sitting on my couch, eating dark chocolate, praying and hoping that all of a sudden, some divine union partnership is going to drop in my lap. Or when I first became an entrepreneur, I freaking went for it. Like, I took aligned action. I listened to my intuition, and I listened to the blueprint of my future self. So this is the blueprint. This is what I want to talk to you about, because this is what I'm going to be working with you on next week if you're going to be in my free program. Is your future self gives you not the how, but she gives you the energetic architecture. The energetic architecture for who you get to be in the now moment. And this is what's really cool about it, is when you, like, for instance, think of one area in your life right now that you really want a future. Like, think about your future self having whatever it is you want. What is that thing? And I want you to close your eyes right now for just a second. And I want you to think about, what would I feel in my body right now if that was my reality? If I really had that happening, not just like some, fairy godmother wish being granted on you. Like, what, like, if you knew in your body that thing was going to come true, how would you feel? And those start to become the ways, that is the frequency of your future self, right? And you start to become her now. And there's ways that you're going to do it. There's pattern disruptions and new things you can invite into your reality. But when you have a thought, that's the electric, part of it, and a feeling, that's the magnetic. So electromagnetic, waves going out into the quantum field. You start to activate and become that version of yourself that you feel out there. Because honestly, this life is about believing and having hope and possibility that anything is possible. If you think about this life and think of how challenging it is sometimes. And it's like, some people that I talk to feel they're in fear and they're scared and they're like, I don't know what's going to happen in the economy, this and that, and it's all these things. And it's like, stop. You have more power than you even realize. You get to co-create your reality with the divine. And then when you start to realize how much power you have, you become a contribution to the quantum field, your frequency, your best life, you feeling like meaning and fulfillment within you is one of the biggest contributions you could ever make to this planet, right? Ever. Hey, Alexandra. So I want you to think about that one thing that you really want right now. And if you were to feel that and start to embody it, then the journey becomes bright and rich, because you start to make a commitment and a promise within yourself. And this is about living in integrity. Because, when you start to become your future self, there's all sorts of amazing stuff that happens. Truly. And one of them is that the things that are in the way of you becoming your future self come up because they want to be healed. And then you get to learn about yourself on the way. But your future self, she is the possibilities, the blank canvas, for what you want to create. And I don't know about you, but I just wrote about this in a post, that so much of our focus, at least what I see in my social media threads is on trauma. Just, and we are living in a, traumatized, like the world is full of it. There's horrible things happening a lot of the times. And so we need to be aware of trauma. We need to know how to work with trauma within our nervous system. By the way, being your future self is not for 1 second bypassing what you feel. It's not that at all. The brilliant future that you create contains all the frequencies. Everything has a right to exist. It's the choice that you make to either stay in the frequency and suffer, or to just be with it and feel it and let it move. And it does move, right? So there's no bypassing your feelings. It's actually, there's work that you do when you decide to become your future self. But back to what I was saying about the trauma and all this kind of stuff. In traditional coaching and traditional healing and all that kind of stuff, so much of it is based on reviewing and regurgitating and excavating the past. It's done. You need to go back there sometimes, because if you notice the intelligent space, the quantum field, your life will tell you, based on what's happening to you right here, right now, what you need to work on. Because it's right in front of your face. You don't need to go searching for it. But there's people that are like, I'm going to be in therapy for 10 years and I'm going to keep working on myself. Or I'm going to go do medicine journey after medicine journey after medicine journey because there's something I'm missing. I need to find that thing that's wrong with me. It's one thing if you want to go do it for inspiration or something, or you have something that you're really stuck on in your life and you want to unlock it. Like, okay, yeah, I get that. But some people just get addicted to looping in the past. And I am taking a stand for there's got to be a better way. There has to be a better way. And I'm here to usher it in. Like, I'm, with my level of expertise and my passion for this, as somebody that's been in the healing industry for almost freaking 20 years. 20 years. I've seen it all. And the reason why I love this body of work that I do is because, yes, you do heal and you do go back to the past when necessary. But you spend time on cultivating and choreographing and having a vision and using your imagination and your intuition to receive, which is your divine feminine, to receive who you want to be. And you operate from that now, not some time out in the future, because this is the best part of it. When you start to, like that one area I told you to think about what you want, when you start to realize how that feels and you start to embody that on a day-to-day basis, you're sending out a signal. You change your frequency and you send out a signal to the quantum field, and that signal is like, whoo, I am ready to play. Like, I'm ready for some amazing stuff. And anything that's a vibrational match to that high, vibration feelings that you're experiencing is going to come. You're going to be bringing it in. So I'm just going to leave you with that. Your future self is that multidimensional aspect of you. It's the part of you that you haven't lived yet, that you get to live and you get to design. So whoever you are today, you can change and you can elevate through multidimensionally healing, not just staying in one timeline of the past and feeling like that you have to review it, but really seeing it as when you embrace the totality of your being, which you understand that you're living in simultaneous realities that we are. We can live in the past for a second, we can live in the future, and your subconscious mind doesn't know the difference. So that's why when you review something from the past and you get all worked up about it, oh, this happened to me, and you just are reliving it in your body, and your body's like, okay, let's bring more of that in, because it doesn't know the difference. It's sending that electromagnetic frequency out, and you're going to receive that back. So when you start to decide and commit to wanting to live in a new embodied way, which includes your nervous system for sure. I am trained as a trauma-informed coach, and I work somatically. I have my own somatic therapist that I work with almost weekly to be in my body, because this is where all the magic is happening, right? Your future self is going to be in your body. It's not just up here. Because in order to hold the frequencies of what you desire and you want, you got to be able to stay in your body. Your body is the vessel to receive all the things that you want. So if you're just joining me, if you're just listening to this, I am hosting a free 4-day program. And next week, check this out. Next week, it's called Future Self Activation, but this is what's so cool. I didn't even realize this when I was planning it out, but the new moon in Aries is next Wednesday. And if you've worked with me in the past, you know I am such a fan of setting goals and intentions on a new moon, like really focusing on where you want to go. And this is the second new moon in Aries this year. This one is a solar eclipse. So it's extra supercharged, and I'm an Aries rising, and I'm all about new beginnings. I mean, this is what I'm teaching. This is my work, right? Is to become who you want to be, to live your dream life and make it a reality, not something that's just in your head. So on next Wednesday, when we do our future self activation, I'm going to be bringing in all my magic with, my channeling abilities and using the cosmos and the astrology to really support you. So I'm excited. So if you haven't signed up, if you haven't, gotten in my group yet, message me, just comment below, just even leave a heart or some like emoticon that you want, and I will get you in there. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your week, and I will talk to you soon.